obviously, like, how did you get into the shoes and everything? Like, what kind of got you into the whole culture and everything?
So pretty much like when I was younger, like in high school, like obviously you're curious about what everything looks like, right? So you go on YouTube, you look up videos, and then once I just like stumbled upon a video about a pair of shoes, and I just got caught up, and then the more I watch it, the more I got into shoes. And one day there was this one shoe that I saw on someone's feet. It's actually a Jordan. I'll show you after, I guess. And pretty much that shoe just made me fell in love with shoes, and then I started collecting it.
And what was the first shoe that you bought with your own money? Do you remember?
With my own money, yeah, it was a pair of Supras.
Okay.
And back in the day, the Supras were pretty cool. It was kind of like a skateboard / casual shoe. And yeah, it was like $160, and then I paid probably like $150, and then my mom went for like the extra and the tax.
And do you still have them?
Yeah, I still have them, but they're really beat because I used to wear them all the time.
Right.
So there's a hole on the heel,
Mhm.
and then it's super beat up. It's all like aged and stuff like that.
Yeah. And when did you start really going hard with collecting?
So when I started making more money,
Yeah.
so around like 16, 17 years old, right where I got my first, second, third job, and then I just went all out.
Yeah. And what kind of brands were you attracted to at first? Because like obviously knowing you, like there's a lot of people who just go from like hype, right? And you just
Yeah.
see people who just wear Jordans, they just wear Adidas or whatever. Whereas you, like, I feel like you have like a very diverse range of taste.
Okay.
So like, where do you think like you got that sort of from?
Pretty much overall shoes just interest me.
Mhm.
So I don't usually go for a certain brand, even though there's a few brands that interest me more than others.
Yeah.
But it's just the making of the shoes and how a shoe can look on with different fit. It just makes me more into that whole culture.
Yeah.
So, sorry, what was the question?
Yeah. So basically, like, what brands do you sort of find
Oh.
yourself being attracted to more, though? Like,
So, at first, I really wanted a pair of Nikes because ever since I was young, I was never really get a pair of Nikes.
Mhm.
But then I ended up with my first pair of Adidas instead of Nikes.
Okay.
So those were pretty cool because it was a pair of T-Max, so Tracy McGrady,
Okay.
and it was a pair of basketball shoes. So I've been playing a lot of basketball with that shoe to the point where the entire sole is all flat and there's no more traction. And then pretty much when I was able to make more money, and once on my birthday I was able to get a pair of Nike for the first time, and then I just started with those two shoes and just continued to all this.
Yeah. And like, what do you think? How do you think shoes have sort of evolved in the last few years? Like, since when you first started collecting and now, like, do you think the shoe landscape has like really changed, or is it just always kind of been?
Yeah, well, back in the day, like a couple of years ago, when I started getting into shoes, it was more like basketball shoes, because back then, the athlete were like the celebrity, and what they were wearing on court was like what you wanted to get. And my favorite player happened to be Kevin Durant, and I really wanted all his shoes, but back then I couldn't afford all of them. So from then it moved into now it's more like celebrities and like rappers, all those people, they're more influencing that culture more than athletes. So now you find people wearing more like casual shoes rather than basketball or running shoes.
Yeah. And do you think like the whole sort of rapper celebrity thing has kind of made shoes like a more like broader thing in terms of like the people who like them? Because like I guess like shoes used to be something that only like people who play sports would really like care about.
Yeah, so
and now you're seeing like everybody care about shoes, I guess.
yeah, well obviously like all the Kardashian because of Kanye, and then Justin Bieber and all those like young celebrities that all the teens and preteens are into. Like they're wearing all the shoes, all the nice shoes that's hard to get, but it's worth a lot of money. So obviously like the younger kids are gonna research those and find out that like, oh, these are actually pretty good shoes, and if I want, I can resell them for more money.
Yeah.
So like pretty much that type of influence, it came from like those celebrities that has a younger demographic.
For sure.
Yeah.
And do you think like do you think that like reselling has sort of like almost sort of like ruined shoe culture in a way, or do you think it's kind of like what do you feel? How do you feel about that? Like,
well, obviously when you're a kid, you have really like no idea how to make money except for working or like selling stuff, right?
yeah.
So usually younger kids would tend to buy shoes, make their parents camp out with them,
Yeah.
and then just resell shoes. Like they would buy, let's say, 4 or 5 pairs of the same Jordans,
Yeah.
attempt to resell them, and then if it doesn't work, they just return them. So yeah, there is like a kind of annoying part of the game where it's like reselling kind of sucks, but at the same time, it is because of reselling that all like the crazy shoes are worth what they're worth.
Mm-hmm. And do you think it's been harder or easier to get shoes now at retail?
For most people, it's a lot harder.
Okay.
Thank God, like I've been able to make some connections and make some friends that like give me heads up on when and what shoes are releasing, so I can have a better idea of like if I have to line up or I can just get them online and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, because now that I have access to a vehicle, like I can drive, I can like I have access to the internet and to stores in Toronto, like Ontario, Ottawa, Vancouver, all that. It's much easier to get a pair of shoes now.
Yeah. And I guess like has that obviously like you've been working at like Foot Locker for a long time, you're gonna be working at Adidas now. How has that sort of like changed your outlook on shoes and like sneakers and stuff like that? Has it given you like more insight into the whole
Well, because Foot Locker usually obviously it's all about every brand that they all carry. So it goes from Nike, Adidas to like Under Armour.
Mm-hmm.
They even used to carry Lacoste and all that.
Yeah.
And I'd say that, to be honest, Boost got me into Adidas, which is the most recent technology that got everybody into that brand. But the more I research into it, the more I'm into that brand for what it represents, its heritage, and all those older vintage shoes that it built, and it actually looks good on feet, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess between Foot Locker and Adidas is more like Foot Locker you cater to everybody, while Adidas you cater to a certain type of demographic, and that demographic is like really into that brand.
Yeah. And do you feel like you've seen more, well, I guess we already covered that, but like, so for you personally, like how many shoes do you have in your collection, would you say?
At one point it went close to 200, but then I had to shrink it down every time because it was getting out of hand. So now I'd say maybe like, recently I sold a lot of shoes, so probably just under 100 right now.
Just under 100, and like, are you like still wanting to shrink that? Like what's the ideal number for you?
Well, yeah, I guess the more I look into the collection, the more I'm like, there's a lot of shoes that I have that I don't really wear anymore. So maybe I'll shrink a few, but recently I've been selling a few kicks too. I just try to see like what I'm keeping for sure, like stuff that I need to wear, and not stuff that like I just buy because it's cheap or it's nice.
And what are some of the shoes that you're looking at like right now, like that you think are?
Right now, I don't know actually. There's obviously one of the Yeezys I really want are the Pirate Black, the V1s.
Okay.
So it's like the all black Yeezy low cut,
Right.
the Boost. And then another one, it's the Kith, designed by Ronnie Flight.
Okay.
They made a pair of Ultra Boost, that's a mid cut, and it's like a rainbow knit, and it's really nice. It's based off like, it takes inspiration from the Aspens. So yeah, it's really nice.
And are those, obviously those are pairs that you have to get resale, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. And what are some like releases that are coming up that you could like maybe get at retail that you're like super into or?
Well, Pharrell has been making a lot of nice shoes, and rumors are that sometime in November there's going to be a release of the Pharrell NMDs. Obviously it's going to be a really hard shoe to get, but I'll see what I can do to secure a pair. After that, that's about it, man. There's nothing much. Like Yeezys are coming and going, and it's like it's kind of saturating the market in a way. So for people that don't have a pair, it might be cool, but like at one point it just gets boring, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And do you feel like and well, obviously like there's the Off-White collab coming out, right?
Yeah.
Those are gonna be like super hard, difficult to get. Or do you think you're gonna try or?
If I try, it'd be like I won't put too much effort into it because I know for a fact that there's only maybe 1 or 2 stores in Canada wide that carries them, and honestly, if you're not there in person, you're not gonna get a chance. So it's just like you're wasting time for nothing.
Yeah.
It's pretty much like a dream that you can't get taken.
Yeah, pretty much. What do you think the shoe of the year has been so far for you? Like a release this year that really like wowed you, or you thought was like the best?
Oof. Released this year?
Yeah.
I have to look back.
That you either got or weren't able to get.
That I either got or I wasn't able to get. Shit. Oh my bad. I can't swear.
No, you can. It's fine.
Oh, I can't? Just give me one second.
There's the zebras. I know you were going hard for those.
I was, but now it's like
They're
I don't
like,
know. It's well, I still want them, but it's like it's
Right.
hard to get, and I'm not down to pay resale.
Right.
I'd say the Pharrell is gonna be one of the release of the year. If not, I really don't know then. Cause I like the off whites, but not to the point where. Cause to me that's like a unicorn, like you can't get them.
Yeah.
So I don't even want to think about them.
Yeah.
So it's not. There's no point.
Yeah.
To me right now, I'm thinking that I can maybe get a pair of Pharrells, so if I can
Right.
get that, it'd be cool.